I mean, we discussed your bottom line gut feeling, and most of my listeners agree. I mean, you've got a UN treaty next week. You've got every time they want to pass legislation, they don't have the votes in the Senate. They're a couple shy, and then magically this happens. It's a guy in a mask, and then they catch some other guy who's involved in some government program with brain technology. All they do is drug some guy up, and then like Sirhan, they say he's I mean, what's your gut, Dave, about what happened here?
Well, I'm very, very sorry for the loss of human life, for the people that were at the movie theater, for the victims, and the loss for the families. So I don't want to seem insensitive at all, because if it happened to me or any of my family, I would be outraged.
But they want to know who did it, really.
They do want to know who did it. And the thing is, you got to ask yourself, where do you get flash grenades from?
How do you, because they admit it's a modern theater, those things are sunk in. They only open one way. It's not like it's just an iron hinge. It's in the wall and opens. A rhinoceros can't knock those down. Everybody's pointing that out. Yeah. How did he knock? They said he knocked the door down.
I don't know. I don't know enough about the actual thing, because, you know, we've been out here house hunting, and I saw your tweet this morning, or your text to me this morning, and I thought, oh my God, Alex has lost his mind, because you said something about Batman and what happened, and I was like, huh? And then I saw it on the news this morning, and I was mortified. But see,
yeah, my text was like, I think this is staged to pass the UN treaty.
But see, the thing is that I had said something about this whole gun thing, and that I thought it was very cowardly that the Obama administration had used Hillary Clinton to go behind the backs of the American people to get this done in the UN instead of get it done in the U.S., because the people of America won't go for it. One of the reasons that the Japanese didn't push past Pearl Harbor was there was a famous emperor or something that he said that he wasn't going to go to the mainland because behind every blade of grass was an American with a gun. And, you know...
that was Admiral Yamamoto, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just reading something a couple days ago. I think it was Washington had said something about, you know, having... arms is what gives America its teeth. And I can't...
Call them liberty teeth. It gives the teeth of the First Amendment.
Right.
The Second Amendment. You're absolutely right, Dave, and you're quoting Veritas here. The whole thing reeks to high heaven.
Yeah. And again, like I said, you know, I had heard that there were flash grenades that were used.
Yeah.
And the only people that can get those are military and police.
That's what they said. They said there was like multiple guys in black uniforms, and they thought there were multiple shooters, and no one did anything because he was, quote, a cop. And somebody went and opened the door and let him in. But first, they knocked the door down. Let me tell you. And then it's a white guy living in an almost completely black apartment complex, and now his house is booby-trapped. I mean, this thing looks... Look, why does it always happen?
It's sad for the neighbors there, because, you know, having your house booby-trapped, people that are near you are going to be hurt, you know. It's just so sad the way the world has become. You know, for me, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ. He's my Lord and Savior, and I know that you know, there's a big plan. I talked about that in Holy Wars. And, you know, I'm just shaking my head thinking, God, how bad is it going to get? How bad is it really going to get? You know?
Dave, I think this is just the beginning. I think you foresaw it decades ago. I mean, I think this is just the beginning of
George Orwell foresaw it decades ago. I got to tell you, when I read 1984, I thought, this is the craziest stuff in the world. You know, this will never happen. And right now, they've got people going back in the books and taking stuff out of the history books to change things. And just like Orwell said in 1984, when the guys were there going back and erasing people ever lived that had gone against the government. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, that's because he'd actually been
a poster here that says Ingsoc, and I knew exactly what that was.
Exactly. He had been a communist and discovered it was all a fraud. So he'd worked for Stalin in Spain. And so that's why he said, well, I couldn't get this published as a nonfiction, because so many Brits in the intelligentsia were socialist. So he said, I got it published as a fiction book. But no, he'd experienced that type of double think and double speak, and he extrapolated that this is what communism would build if it took over. And is North Korea not the 1984 system? I mean, it's the ultimate expression.
Wow. That's a whole nother show.
Dave, we have talked about so much here tonight, and there's a few other points that I wanted to raise here for you. What do you, I mean, you have the courage to speak out for what you believe, and the media distorts it and stuff, but in the final equation, people know you're for real, and that's why your fans appreciate you. But what do you make of, say, last year, Hank Williams Jr. comes out and criticizes Obama and says, he actually still, the full quote was, both parties are destroying America, we're becoming Nazi Germany. And I'm mad at Obama. But they came out and said, he says Obama is Nazi Germany. What do you make of them getting him kicked off Monday Night Football? By the way, he's selling more records, I saw the other day now since that happened.
That's the sweetest revenge of all, success. And, I'm not a huge fan of Hank Williams Jr., not because I don't like him, but it's because I don't really know him. But I did see him on a show the other day playing some music, and I was thinking what it must be like to be somebody in that genre, to be at the top of your game, and then to have someone try and publicly spank you by doing something like that. I didn't think he was the kind of guy that would take that kindly, and that he probably would in some way get his revenge, and success is the best revenge.
Well, that's it. And he's putting out records now just saying, you know what? I'll keep my guns, I'll keep my family, I'll keep my freedom, you can keep your change.
The funny thing, too, when you say keep our guns, with this thing about people, having to give their guns back, all that's going to do is it's going to prompt more illegal gun purchases, and it's going to cause a lot of deaths of law officers and military men and women who are going to be forced to go against the Second Amendment to come and get our guns. And the thing that I appreciate a lot is the oath keepers who have taken the oath to be a military person, a serviceman or woman, which says that they're going to uphold the Constitution, and you can't skip parts of the Constitution. It's not like a smorgasbord where you can just take what you want and leave the rest. The whole thing is the Constitution, not part, not half, not quarters, nothing. So for anybody to expect these men and women to have to actually go against their oath that they took, their oath, everything, their moral fiber, put their word on the line and go out there and risk their life for us, and then come back and maybe potentially kill Americans just because they have firearms, which is our right, that just reeks of I mean, I don't even want to say the word because it's to me it just seems like communism, and I don't want to be like some McCarthyism kind of guy,
No, but when tyranny comes, you've got to recognize it, Dave. And you have incredible courage here. It is the military and police, because I was critical 10 years ago or so before I understood a more sophisticated view. On average, I've met them, as you have. They're really good people.
They're good people. A lot of them are.
And they've been given false paradigms to follow. But now, the fact that they are being trained for gun confiscation, that's finally woke them up. Most of them are actually saying, we're not going to do it. So the tyrants on top, Obama and his controllers, they're trying to get this in place. But here's the deal. No one's going to follow that order. The vast majority.
I don't think so either. And, one of the things about police officers, a lot of people call them pigs. I had two brother-in-laws that were cops. And, they weren't bad cops. If you want to know why cops go bad, watch the movie Serpico. And it's
pressure, peer pressure.
Yeah, peer pressure. And the fact that, you're going to go out and fight crime. And there was one scene in the movie where he was just left to be shot. Oh, I've interviewed Frank Serpico. He's a listener. Really?
He's an amazing guy. We just had him on, 2 weeks ago? Yeah.
Well, I watched the movie when I was a kid, and I'm a big Al Pacino fan, and I remember the movie a lot. I remember when I first went to New York, we were kind of talking to people and saying, who do you think you are, Serpico? This kind of stuff. But the bottom line is that, my brother-in-laws were good men and they were good cops. And we have so many military men and women that come to Megadeth shows, and, they go like, Holy Wars, oh man, hey, we got Vic painted on our tank. I got pictures of stealth bombers and stuff like that with our logo on the front, or Vic, the one particular one shows them in a conductor's outfit, and the plane's called Symphony of Destruction. To me, that's very flattering, because when I was a kid, we had, I think it was the Korean War was happening when I was 18, and I put my card in for the Selective Service. I was ready to go. If they would have drafted me, I would have gone. I wasn't a draft dodger. So, I grew up to really respect the men and women who go out and fight for us.
Absolutely. Dave Mustaine, pretty powerful interview here today. I mean, there's so many points to cover. It's our choice, liberty or tyranny. What is the bottom line? If you have to crystallize who Dave Mustaine and Megadeth, Megadeth.com, everything you stand for, what is it?
I'm a Christian man who loves his family, loves his country, and most importantly, loves God. And I'm willing to fight for those things. And I'm willing to share those things with people that would like to know about it. Not willing to get into it with people who don't care about it. I'm not going to defend myself or explain myself. It is what it is.
I agree with that. I found that debating is like pearls before swine. If people want to just, you know what, it's like, great, hey, you got your views. I'm not going to fight with you about it.
Well, I got a pig analogy, too. It's like teaching a pig how to sing. It'll never work, and it annoys the pig.
All right, again, we'll air the rest of the Dave Mustaine interview tonight on Infowars Nightly News. And by tomorrow, we'll post it for everybody up at Infowars.com. If you're a radio listener and want to see it. Yes, let rats through the streets. We are transmitting worldwide. During the breaks, Aaron came running in this morning, and we've since confirmed it is the leaked treaty, and it got no attention. We'd seen earlier copies that have similar language. We had Bob Dacey in last week going over it. And I've now had a chance to look at it, and it is the current draft, and it rocked me because it's got what was in earlier drafts, and it's expanded, and it says they're going to ban individual guns. In fact, and it says that, but don't worry, individual states will have a right to self-defense. That means state actors, government. So it's big, and Obama plans to sign it, and he's trying to get everybody in line with it. We need to take your semi-autos. I mean, we played the clips earlier. The clip's up at Infowars.com. Obama claims Second Amendment about hunting, and he says you shouldn't be able to have semi-autos. They want to ban us so we can be their slaves. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we just had that premiere of that interview I did Friday evening here in studio with Dave Mustaine. We just aired that today. We aired about 70% of it. I'll play it all commercial-free tonight on the Nightly News, uninterrupted. 7 o'clock Central, Prisonplanet.tv. Coming up for the balance of the hour, a really powerful book, and he's got interviewed a lot of the lawyers that we've had on the show, breaking down the complete and total fraud of what's going on with clouded titles. And they're even, you've seen the case of them taking homes they don't even own or never even had a clouded title for. So that's a new book we're carrying at InfoWarsShop.com. If you're having problems or you they're foreclosing on you, most of the time they don't have the original title, and they've sold it over and over again. Sometimes they're taking houses, as you know, that are even paid off. This is invaluable because this is what's bringing down the world economy right here. This is at the heart of it, clouded titles. And we're going to have Dave Krieger on with us here in studio coming up in the next segment. We've had a lot of other lawyers and people on, but he's a journalist from out here in Austin, Texas, and so that's why I wanted to get him on, because I think he's written the best book on the subject and talked to all the experts and goes over all the code. And this is what I've been looking for, is not just to have a lawyer on and then talk about it, then you've got to go get that lawyer, which is great. And at least it's something. It's best to know this yourself, because most lawyers don't know this. So there's a small supply, from what I've seen in the last few years, of lawyers that understand this. They're going to big seminars. They're trying to learn. He also teaches classes on that. So we're going to be talking about it. This is a way to really fight back against the globalist. They're trying to get state attorney generals to change laws to let them retroactively engage in this fraud. We're going to talk about the big picture when we come back, but available at InfoWarsShop.com. And somebody I've got to get on with us. This book was always on print on demand. Now it's been expanded, and Tex Mars has written a foreword to it. It is the best and most comprehensive book on Bohemian Grove, and it's written by Mike Hansen, my old camera guy, who basically, put all this together. And I never promoted it because it cost so much, because it was print on